Hello. In this episode I will be gluing the backgraft onto the back and the braces and doing a couple of experiments. More on that in a second. Now, it's been pointed out to me that a common way of doing the backgraft is to do it in sections. Instead of creating this one piece of spruce, as I did in a previous video, you create in this case, 5 pieces of backgraft, because I've got 4 braces. You create 5 individual pieces and you profile them all individually, and then you can glue them all on in one operation, which is much more straightforward, apart from the fact that you're processing small pieces of spruce, putting the profile in each of them, trying to get them consistent. And when you do the glue up, you've got to get them in line, because otherwise, for the bits that you can actually see through the sound line, sound hole, it's not going to look right if they don't line up exactly. And that's fine. But for me, I couldn't get 5 reasonable sized pieces of spruce out of my soundboard material. I could get 3 reasonable sized pieces, and so doing it this way is a better option, I think, for me. But also, I want to try an experiment, because normally you would glue, if you're going for the single strip of spruce backgraft method, you glue this on flat using a caul on a flat board, and that's fine because it will still bend properly because the spruce will be in compression. That's not a problem. And then you'd have to notch the backgraft to put the braces on. But the advantage of doing it like that is you can profile it while it's on the guitar and get a nice consistent profile all the way along it. It's held in place, you haven't got to worry about it slipping around, and that's a method a lot of people use. But I want to try gluing into the radius dish. I want to glue a dome into this and see whether there's enough strength in the spruce to hold that curve. I kind of suspect there won't be, but we'll give it a go. When I take it out of the radius dish after the glue up, will it actually have any form of curve in it, or will it just straighten out? There is a danger in it straightening out. It might split the graft, but that's not the end of the world, because it will be splitting with the grain, and actually we want the piece to be, the strength that we need from it is in this direction, holding the seam together, so any little split in it isn't actually a problem. But rather than risk flattening it out, I'm going to have to profile it in the radius dish, I think. And to do that, I have a tool which I made in the previous video. This is a 1-inch radius block made on my spindle sander, and it has the 15-foot radius pre-sanded into it, so I can use this to put the profile on in the dish. It's possible, I guess, I could use a plane even though there's a 15-foot radius, because it's a very gentle curve, but I don't know. Things might go badly wrong because of the fact that the blade's having to stick out a little bit further and you aren't in full contact with the work, and the nose and the tail will be digging in. I don't think you'd be able to use a plane on a curve unless the sole of the plane is curved. I have my tool, so that's going to be fun. But the thing is, I can then put the braces across the top of the strip, because I have a consistent 1-inch radius in that, and I can easily put a 1-inch notch in the braces using my spindle sander and the jig that I made. That's easy to do, so it should create a really nice finish. So I'm going to try that. It's a little bit of experiment. This isn't the usual way of doing it, but let's give it a go. The other experimentation is this radio mic that I've been sent. Now, I've been aware that my audio sometimes can be a little inconsistent, because I use a Rode video mic on top of the camera, and it's very directional, and sometimes if the camera's here and I'm talking to the side of the mic, it can sound muffled, it can sound quiet, and at least with the radio mic with its lavalier, hopefully I'll get better audio quality. If I do, great, because this is only £40. I don't want to do much of a selling job on this because I am evaluating this. I'm not expecting much from this, but the Rode system, the Rode equivalent of this, I can't remember what it's called, but it's a Rode radio mic that goes with the camera, costs £230, £40, I think. It's many times more than this. With this, you get the lavalier, you get the transmitter, you get the headset mic as well, Britney Spears, and you get the receiver, which you can plug into the camera, but I've got it plugged into my little audio recorder, just because I want to evaluate the audio and compare it with the rifle mic. So far you've been listening to the rifle mic. I guess at this point we'll switch to this and see what it sounds like, and I'll try and use this in the rest of the video. If I'm not, I'll caption it. But see what you think. It's possible the audio quality could be better than the Rode mic, because the Rode usually is plugged into the camera, which introduces a lot of noise. The Canon audio quality isn't that great. This method, plugged into a digital recorder, who knows, might give a better audio quality. We'll see. I'm evaluating it. I'll let you know. But anyway, on with the actual lutherie. Let's see how this goes. Okay, I've realised that trying to coordinate my camera and the digital recorder, I've had to do so many different takes. So this is recorded straight into the camera. So far in this video, you've heard the rifle mic, the digital audio recorder, and now the radio mic plugged straight into the camera, and I hope I don't get anything wrong, but let's see how we go. On with the lutherie. I'm having trouble marking this because I can't see my pencil marks, and I've tried using blue art pencil and I'm having trouble. So I'm gonna use masking tape. I'm gonna put a pencil line there, but I'm gonna glue some masking tape on under the head joint, and then I'm going to cut the graft to length. So I think that's correct. Right, we'll cut that length to length and then glue it in. I'm going to try and be fairly sparing with the glue. Well, I've already put too much on. People have said brush the glue on, get a nice thin coat, but I have a plan for squeeze out, so I'm not too bothered about squeeze out. I'm going to put this on, then wait half an hour, and then hopefully the squeeze out will have gelled, and I can just peel off the squeeze out. We will see. Actually, maybe I've been a bit too sparing with the glue. No, we might be all right. question is, how many rods? I think a couple more. It's a little bit of squeeze out, but we'll wipe that off in 30 minutes time. Half an hour has elapsed. I'm going to use a luthier's secret weapon, a drinking straw cut off at an angle, and it scoops the glue out quite nicely, although of course here it's gelled nicely. Here I just need to remove the masking tape, which hasn't removed the glue, so oh well. In fact, some of the glue went underneath the masking tape. It hasn't taken the glue off at all. This drinking straw is a bit thin actually. Oh, that has worked. Yeah, I needed something a little harder. It's sort of worked after a fashion. Well, it's had 24 hours. The question is, will it pop up when I take the clamps off? I think it probably will, but let's see how much. Yeah, it completely pops up. No, there is a very slight dip in it, just a very, very slight dip. Well, that's a learning experience. So I could plane that, but I have my tool, so I'll use that instead. Oh, I'm glad I did this. This is such a good thing. I've taken the corners off the block because I realised I was getting some marks on the back, which is not what I wanted. I just need to take these marks away with a little bit of 240 grit. They're not really grooves, they're just sort of polish marks really at the edge of the sanding block, and they've come out quite easily. I am really pleased with that. That's a great result. Yay! And I have been left with a very slight curve. I'm going to pre-radius the braces, and I've taken a little bit off the one side of this pencil just to make sure it's a little bit lower, because it's only about 3mm I think at the bottom. And I'm just going to draw on there the radius, and then I'm going to plane that off, and that just means there's less to do when I'm back on the radius dish sanding the final curve in the brace. Because the upper ribs are shorter, they're lower to the dish, so I've created a 2mm side of the pencil and a 3mm side. That's the 2mm on the other side because I yeah. So I'm going to use my new planer jig, very proud of this, to pre-shape the braces. Now obviously I could use a hand plane, but the advantage of this is it keeps everything nice and square, which you can do on a hand plane, of course, but I might as well use this anyway because I'm going to be changing out changing out the drum later to put the notch, the 1-inch radius notch in the centre of the brace, as you will see. I lost sound at this point. The mic powered down, and I think, judging by the battery indicator, the batteries are getting low, so I think you need fresh batteries every time you use the radio mic. Well, that's the initial shaping done. As you can see, I've got a pretty good fit to the dish. So we've just got to do some finish sanding, and that's minimum to take off, so I'm happy with that. Now I've got the braces roughly where they would be on the guitar, and I've seen people recommend that you sand them in situ, in the place on the dish where they would correspond to the guitar. And well, I don't think that's necessary. The whole dish is the surface of a sphere, and the curvature is the same anywhere on the sphere, on the dish. The only difference between these outer points is that these braces are canted over by 2 degrees from vertical in towards each other. And I'm fine with that because they're still going to match the side, they're still going to be perpendicular to the side, and the linings, I'm going to let them into the linings. But I guess the people who sand in the relative position on the dish, I guess must be holding the braces vertical, and the braces all end up parallel with each other on the guitar. Nobody's ever going to notice that, and I'm not sure I want that. But that's the only reason I can think that you'd ever want to sand them in the relative position. If anybody else has got any ideas, please let me know in the comments. Put a bit of pencil on the underside, and then I can see if I've got any low spots. Yeah, it's not the smoothest of finishes. I'm just taking it off at the end and the middle at the moment. There we go. That's a good finish. Just so that I'm not sanding them in situ, I'm going to move this one across a little bit. Just to be awkward. Oh, I didn't. This one actually feels better to begin with, actually. It's a smoother surface, but let's just pencil that. All the pencil marks have gone, but I can feel it's just a little bit of unevenness there, so I'll just do a bit more. That looks pretty good. That one was a bit easier. There we go. Feels nice and smooth. One set of radius braces. That's my little test piece, and I've just got to move back by about 1 millimetre. I'm just sort of eyeballing it. Actually, my ruler is 1 millimetre thick, so let that be a guide. Yeah. That looks about okay. I'll try that. That looks perfect, so we'll try that with the brace. Perfect. I like that. As before, I'm going to use masking tape to mark the position of the braces. I'm actually going to erase the pencil marks just so there's nothing visible. About 25 minutes since the first one, and the oh yeah, it's yeah, the glue's more than just gelled. I think I need to make myself a specialist tool for this job. This is a picnic fork, chip shop fork, which seems to do the job, but maybe something with a square end. Seems reasonably successful. Something I didn't really expect, there's now far more of a curve set in the back. There was very little spring back when I took it out of the dish. Clearly we've got a curve that way, quite a pronounced curve, but we've got quite a pronounced curve longitudinally. Quite pleased by that. I mentioned earlier that these are canted in by 2 degrees each, a total of 4 degrees between each other, away from parallel. And there's a mathematical quirk that tells us that. This is a 15-foot radius dish. In other words, it's the surface of a sphere that's 15 foot across the radius, 30 feet across the diameter. And if we take pi as roughly 3, we know that the circumference of a circle is pi d, or 2 pi r. So we know that the circumference of this circle, this sphere here, is 90 feet. I apologise for working in feet, but it does give some very convenient units. These braces are 1 foot apart. So these braces are a 90th of the circle apart, a 90th of 360 degrees, which is 4 degrees. So these are 4 degrees towards each other, in other words 2 degrees, 2 degrees, and I guess we've got 1 1/3 between each of these, so these will each be canted in by 2/3 of a degree. Neat. Well, that went really well. I'm very pleased with the result. I feel fully vindicated in my slightly off-norm approach to this, but I got a beautiful backgraft and some good solid joints. I know there will be those of you who say that this is weaker. I could make an argument to say that it's actually stronger because I have a continuous wood join in both directions with glue throughout the joint. There's no butt joining. The backgraft is continuous. It's certainly as stiff as if I'd done it by more conventional means. Stiffness is in the height. Having said that, a lot of this wood will be taken away. I need to reduce the mass. I need to get the top tuned. We've got the start of a tap tone, but it's early days yet. I may do some initial shaping in a forthcoming video. Whether that's the next video, I'm not sure. But the final tuning of this will be done in conjunction with the top because the two have to be in a relationship. Yeah, so make sure you ring my bell, hit that little notify so you keep up with the series. It's all going really well. All went really well apart from the audio at one point. I haven't had a chance to evaluate the audio yet. The receiver, which I have here, at one point appeared to time out. I think it times out after 4 hours, and I didn't realise, and so there was a gap in the audio. I'm back on my rifle mic at the moment. I think at this point I'm going to try my Britney Spears mic, so let's hit record and let's stick this on, because I haven't actually tried this yet. So there we go. There's the Britney Spears audio. What you've heard so far has been the lavalier, which I'm not wearing. This seems a really good system apart from that 4-hour timeout, but as I say, I haven't had a chance to review the audio yet, so we'll see. I'm sure this will have its uses though, because there are times when I'm sort of standing behind the camera and the rifle mic just doesn't really work in those circumstances. So that's it. We'll see you in the next video, whatever that is. Don't forget to comment, share, like, do all the usual things, and we'll see you soon. Bye.